In the world of sport, there's no more exciting a moment than a goal scored in football. It's a moment to be cherished and savoured, a moment to be remembered, a moment of history. In the 1994 World Cup, there were 140 such moments. We have selected 55 of the best from the best in the world. The United States had waited a lifetime to host the World Cup. Their first game came on June the 18th in the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit. Georges Brégy spoiled the party with the game's opening goal in the United States' first match in the tournament. Several thousand Swiss supporters celebrated a goal that will be remembered for a precision free kick from 20 yards, a kick that gave Tony Meola little chance. But for the United States, it was a case of anything you can do, we can do even better. Eric Wynalda from 30 yards out, a free kick which was quite simply unstoppable. Eric Wynalda plays his football in Germany. The supporters just celebrated. 100,000 of them in the Detroit Silverdome. 30 yards and Paschalot nowhere. Ray Houghton isn't known in England as a prolific goalscorer, but this was certainly a goalscorer's instinct. A 20-yard shot cheekily lobbed over Gianluca Pagliuca. And when the Irish score, they certainly know how to celebrate. It was a goal which came after just 12 minutes of the game and proved the only goal of the game, giving Ireland an important opening match victory. Romania was certainly one of the successes of the tournament, and this is one of the reasons. Flair. Florin Radachoi scored that goal after 15 minutes of the game with Colombia. Predictably, it was Georges Hagi who set up the chance for Radachoi, a precision pass expertly taken. Even the presence of two Colombian defenders couldn't stop him. In the same game, a goal from Georges Hagi. Was this a cross or was it a shot? Whatever the deliberations on that score, it was certainly spectacular. Perhaps the replay gives a clue. Is this look to the far post? If it is, he got lucky. If the camera is deceptive, it's pure brilliance. Roger Ljung's goal for Sweden against the Cameroon was a typical defender's goal, stealing in at the far post and a solid header. The free kick was from Jonas Tern. The header was into an empty net. In all, there were 10 Cameroon players in the area when Roger Ljung scored. It obviously didn't bother him.
Scored by number 5, Roger Ljung, in the 7th minute.
Cameroon had their moments as well, such as this goal for David Mbe in the same game. This one certainly a case of persistence paying off. A real Roger Miller style celebration, that one, but there's always somebody ready to spoil the party. There is perhaps a suspicion of offside to this one, but Sweden certainly got themselves into trouble and paid dearly for it. FIFA's directives before the World Cup were to give the strikers the benefit of the doubt on offsides. David Mbe was the man who succeeded here. Martin Dahlin helped Sweden to a 2-2 draw with the Cameroon in Los Angeles on June the 19th. This goal, though, remembered for a shot that didn't quite make it. Dahlin's success, an object lesson in how a striker should be in the right place at the right time. Joseph Antoine Bell in the Cameroon goal perhaps might have done better with this one, but Dahlin certainly was on the prowl. The World Cup wouldn't be the same without a goal from Romario. This came against the Russians in San Francisco. Bebeto took the corner kick. Romario was first off the mark. This was Brazil's first in a 2-0 win. Holland were among the favourites for the World Cup, but they got a shock in Washington on June the 20th from Saudi Arabia. The Saudis were apparently only here to make up the numbers, but they went ahead against the Dutch. Not even they could believe it. Fouled Amin's celebrations took him the whole length of the pitch. The header was certainly one to celebrate. Amin squeezed in between two defenders, a goal which certainly was enjoyed by the Saudi royal family. The World Cup always throws up goals from 35 yards out, hit well, hit true, hit spectacularly into the corner. This was one such goal from Wim Jonk. In the 70s, Holland had Arie Haan, who could strike the ball from this distance. This is the 1994 version. When Argentina met Greece in Boston on June the 21st, everybody expected a cricket score. It wasn't quite that, but Gabriel Batistuta confirmed Argentina as one of the favourites for the tournament. The result was never really in doubt. Neither was this goal as soon as it left the boot of Gabriel Batistuta. With Diego Maradona back in Argentina's squad, everybody wondered whether he was really a spent force. This proved he wasn't. The evidence in Boston was that Diego Maradona was back to his very best. When Diego Maradona is at his best, he's unstoppable. There was little space for Maradona to work in here, but that doesn't matter to a man of his ability. On June the 21st, Spain were in Chicago against Germany. Goycochea scored for Spain, and like Hadji's before, perhaps an element of good fortune. Whether it was a cross or whether it was just a superbly placed shot are neither here nor there when you have a superb-looking goal to celebrate, and the Spaniards certainly knew how to celebrate. There was certainly little room for error when Goycochea played the ball in. Ilgner, though, was beaten, and Spain had scored a spectacular goal. The Nigerians were billed as one of the most skillful teams in the tournament, and we were shown why in Dallas on June the 21st against Bulgaria. Their first goal came from Rashid Yekini. It was a goal well set up by Daniel Amokachi and Finidi George, and finished simply but effectively. Throughout the tournament, Nigeria didn't score too many goals that didn't warrant at least a second look. Daniel Amokachi's was another one, poorly taken. With goals like this going in against them, it was difficult to believe that Bulgaria would actually reach the semi-finals. Amokachi here was driven wide, but not wide enough. Emmanuel Amoniki's goal against Bulgaria was the third in a 3-0 win, and it proved that Nigeria also had bravery to match their skill. Again, Finidi George was involved in the build-up, providing the cross for Amoniki's header. And with goals like this around, there was little wonder that Norwich City's Efan Akuku was unable to get a place in Nigeria's starting lineup throughout the tournament. There was no doubt that Alain Souter was one of the stars of the first phase, and this is one of the reasons why. That goal came against Romania in the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit on June the 22nd, another goal worthy of celebration. Many players had had problems with a new ball which was being used in the World Cup. Souter clearly didn't. If the intentions of his goal against Colombia were open to question, the merits of this one against Switzerland for George Hagi were beyond all doubt. A classic strike from a classic midfield player. It was said throughout the tournament that when Hagi played well, Romania played well. That theory, though, fell by the wayside in this game. Romania were beaten 4-1 by Switzerland, but this was definitely a goal to savour. When Ireland met Mexico in Orlando, it was their first game since beating Italy in New York. Mexico, though, won 2-1 with the help of Luis Garcia. The Mexicans celebrated in temperatures reaching 110. Garcia's shot was set up by Carlos Hermosillo. Pat Bonner had little chance. Ireland's only success in the same game was a fine header from John Aldridge. He was undoubtedly fired up after an altercation on the touchline with a FIFA official. This, though, was merely consolation. The goal was set up by Jason McAteer and let in by a man who had an elegant style in kits. Shame about the dive. Every time Brazil play, the world expects, and Romario didn't let us down against the Cameroon in San Francisco. Sunshine World Cups and Brazil always seem to go together. US 94 was no different. Even at this stage of the tournament, the supporters were celebrating a team they thought were heading towards the final. And Dunga, Bebeto and Romario didn't let us down. The Swedes were also progressing nicely. This was a 3-1 win against Russia in Detroit. Predictably, amongst the goals was Martin Dahlin. The Swedes gained a reputation in the first phase for playing attractive, entertaining, attacking football. This goal was certainly a version of that. Another illustration of Sweden at their best came in the same game. Same scorer, but a different type of header. This was a goal which signalled Sweden were on their way, and Dahlin knew it. It was a very different type of goal to the first. A cross from the right instead of the left, a header at full stretch instead of low down. Even so, Darlene had scored his second goal of the game in Detroit. Belgium's game with Holland in Orlando was settled by just one goal from a defender. Philippe Albert scored the goal, sending the Belgian fans into ecstasy, as it would against a team regarded as the old enemy. Holland's Jan Wouters might have felt he could have stopped this on the goal line, but he appeared to try to do so with his wrong foot, and as a consequence conceded the only goal of the game, much to the delight of Belgium's coach, Paul van Himst. Morocco were known to possess a side full of skillful players attempting skillful things, and when it worked beautifully, such as this goal for Mohamed Chouch. The Moroccans still lost the game 2-1 to Saudi Arabia in Giant Stadium, New Jersey, but this was their moment of World Cup glory. The neat footwork on the touchline came from Ahmed Bahar. After his good work, Chouch had the simplest of opportunities. Argentina's meeting with Nigeria in Boston was much awaited after both sides' performances in their earlier matches in the tournament. And this goal from Claudio Caniggia didn't let anybody down. It was a goal set up by Diego Maradona, who sadly was to leave the tournament early after failing a drugs test. But he proved here that a simple pass can be the start of a spectacular finish. Argentina won the game in Boston 2-1, and Nigeria proved in this game that despite their attacking abilities, they have much to learn in defence, and people like Caniggia will always capitalise. Before US 94, not many people would have heard of Yordan Lechkov, but they have now thanks to goals like this. The Bulgarian celebrated his goal during the tournament. Lechkov celebrated his 27th birthday, proving that looks can be deceptive. This goal against Greece in Chicago was a goal set up with a neat 1-2 with Emil Kostadinov, who plays hit football in Portugal for Porto. By this time, the Greeks had already established themselves as being the weakest team in the competition, but that can't detract from Lechkov's cool finish.